The class of animals that first fully conquer the land without needing water to produce, they are called what? So we have different animals that are called first ones to conquer the land. You find them around, but they don't actually need water to reproduce. What are they called? So they are all known as reptiles. So we have different reptiles of different types. You have your lizard, you have your chameleon are reptiles. Okay, so this group of animals have these shared characteristics that make them very unique to some of them are found in water, like your crocodiles. As most of them you find them on land or dry land, and you can find them almost everywhere. Okay, so these reptiles, the word reptilia comes from the Latin word repere, meaning to crawl or to creep. So you see them crawling and creeping around. And reptiles are cold-blooded vertebrates. A cold-blooded vertebrates fully adapted to life on land. You can find crocodile on water, yeah, but you can find them on land. All right. So that's one important thing you need to know. So one question I'm going to ask you: crocodiles are found in water and on land. I've discussed about amphibians before. Does that make them an amphibian? Think about that. Okay, think about that question. All right. So example of reptilia. So we have a lizard, you have a snake, you have a tortoise, and you have your crocodile. So these are good examples of reptilia. So where can we find these habitats? So you can find them in deserts, in forests, you can find them on grassland. And some of these species live in water, but they still need to breathe fresh air. So most of the time you see crocodile in the water, you see they bringing their nose up the water so they can take in oxygen. Okay. So these are different species. You can see this crocodile here. You can see them, the nose is above the water because they need to breathe in fresh air. Okay. So the body are highly covered with dry horny scales made of keratin. Very important thing to know. You can see the skin very dry. Very, very dry. Once you touch them, it's very dry. And that's how as adaptive features for them to be able to survive harsh environmental conditions. Skin function: dry scaly skin prevents water loss. Okay, and this helps reptiles survive in dry places. All right, and for breathing, they breathe with their lungs only. Even the young ones breathe with the lungs only. And there's no gill stage, unlike that of amphibians that have different gill stage. Like you're told, when they have gills, they use gills to breathe at a particular time of their life when they're very juvenile. But this is absent when it comes to reptiles. Okay, so body temperature, so they are poikilothermic, which means they're cold blooded, and many bask in the sun to regulate their body heat. Find them in the sun, so they can regulate the body heat. Okay, so very important to know that in terms of movement, most reptiles tend to crawl using the four short limbs. They have limbs, and snake move without any limbs at all. You see them moving like this, crawl. They don't have limbs for them to move. Okay, so in terms of reproduction, fertilization is internal and it happens inside the body. And the eggs have a leathery or hard shell, and this is laid on land. Okay, so you can see different pictures here to show how they lay the eggs. So you get to a point, it comes out of the egg, they hatch and come out of the eggs. But does this makes them an aves? No, they are not aves. So just an important note you need to check. Look at this table. So reptiles can show three modes of birth and development. So the first one we have what we call oviparous. So meaning they lay eggs, embryo develop outside the mother's body. Example, have a tortoise, have a tortoise, have a crocodile, and many lizards. We have what we call the ovoviviparous. Here, eggs are retained inside the female. The eggs hatch inside or just before birth. And a good example, have some snakes and lizards. They have what we call viviparous, meaning they give birth to young ones alive. Embryo develop inside the mother and receive nourishment from her. So a good example, have some snakes and some lizards. So these species they're quite they quite have a lot of features, and sometimes you find it very confusing to be able to differentiate between one from the other. So most reptiles show little or no parental care after laying their eggs. They don't really show much parental care. Okay, unlike that of the aves. So one question: now, a crocodile spends most of its time in water. So why is it classified as Pisces? Why isn't it classified as Pisces or an amphibian? Why not called fishes, or why not called amphibian? All right. So the answer is they use lungs only. They have a dry scaly skin, and they lay the eggs on land. So what's the point calling them aves? Fertilization is internal, not like ave that does is external. Okay, they have a dry scaly skin. They don't use their skin to reproduce. They don't undergo what called cutaneous respiration. They use the lungs to respire. So they are not known as amphibians or the aves. They are known as reptiles. Okay, so one important thing to know: snakes have no legs but are still reptiles, and they still have scales, lungs, and shelled eggs. Okay, very important to note that. And again, we're going to check how a reptile is so important, what makes them very important. So they help to control pest and rodent population. For example, snakes eat rats, so reduce the population of rodents. Snake venom is used in medical research, and antivenom and drug production is made using the snake venom. So tortoise and crocodile products support local trade and tourism, and this maintain balance in food chains as both predators and prey. So talking about balance in food chain, we have lots of organisms that are kind of nuisance. For example, have lots of rodents that destroy crops. So these reptiles help to reduce the population by feeding on them. So it helps to cause what we call balance in nature, having not too many of those species, but at least a minimal number of those species in the particular population. Okay, so just quick recap of everything I've said about the reptiles. They have scales, which is dry and protective, and the scales is made of keratin. They're cold-blooded. Body temperature varies with environment, and they have what we call internal fertilization. They have shelled eggs laid on land, and lungs breathing from hatching to adulthood. They all breathe for each stages. They all use what lungs for breathing, and they have in terms of legs. Some of them have legs, while some of them have none. So, crawling movements, and snakes have no limbs. They don't have a forelimbs or hind limbs. They tend to what to crawl. So very important information. All right. So thank you for watching the video to this point, and please subscribe to my channel so I can learn more fascinating facts or important things that have to do with biology. Okay, don't forget, in this channel, this is a new channel. We're going to learn everything that has to do with biology, all topics that have to do with biology. And the aim of this channel is for a student to come to my channel, subscribe to my channel, and initially sit down home and homeschool and learn everything and become an expert in biology using just my channel. Okay, so thank you for watching this video to this point, and see you next time.